Hi Radhika,
Hello, mom. How are you?
I'm good. अगर और 5 मिनट कोई नहीं आता तो तुम और मैं भी छुट्टी लेते हैं.
नहीं नहीं, I actually sent the link to a lot of my friends कि आ जाओ ब्रेकअप के बारे
और
में.
ये नहीं.
Yeah, and
बेटा
Nisha and
और हम
Mehak are
सोने.
also.
On YouTube. Mm-hmm. We are live on YouTube. Sorry, delete that from YouTube. You can't have a conversation now. हाँ, okay, sorry. Now, oh God. Where am I? Why do I not show on my screen?
We can see you.
You can see me.
Yeah, yeah.
But why can't I see myself? That is changes from here. It's still strange. Zoom ने थोड़ी थोड़ी चीजें चेंज की हैं उसके बाद ना. लोग 11:30 में मेट्रो होती. So I was telling Radhika, अगर कोई नहीं आता है तो maybe we'll just call it a day. Must have been exhausting after the training, no? Say
मैंने तो
hello.
जल्दी जल्दी खाना खा लिया.
Today training was more like us discussing the projects that they'll be doing. So it wasn't a topic
Hmm.
to cover.
हाँ, I joined in बीच में क्या मतलब? I have Ishan's laptop with me today, so
Yeah.
Hello.
how are you?
Um, yeah, left my shoes box in your house.
Wonderful. आप आ रहे हो वैसे भी अगले हफ्ते.
I know, but it's not like I'm gonna miss the heels. Not that I can
Do,
walk in
do, do
them.
you want me to refill that one?
Please wear them around now. If
Sidhu,
we
we
are
are
probably
live on YouTube. We are
oh,
live.
all right. I will exit this. Okay, let's talk about important stuff.
Like breakups.
Oh shit. Okay, so the topic today is hmm, hmm, unpacking memories, one box at a time, breakups.
Yeah.
Are we going to talk about our breakups? Are we going to help people about their breakups? What do you want to do?
I mean, I've heard so many stories of other people's breakups also.
You must have them now. Let's talk about stories.
Yeah, definitely. That's
Yeah,
more interesting.
done.
Who has the
I'm
first
gonna
one?
I'm gonna jump right in because I suddenly had a flash of memory. Okay.
Done.
So I'm about 19 years old, and we are called to IIT socials in Delhi. So I was in Miranda House, and you know how the hostelers get invited for the socials to IIT Delhi. I go there, and everybody else gets a partner except me because I don't fit into the typical look of the year, right? So everybody gets a partner. I don't. And there is a boy that comes to me and he asked me for a dance. And I said, okay, because there was no one else. And it ends up, just for the record, terribly boring. And I say this with complete vengeance. But this boy comes to me and then he says that, he starts dancing. And then when I'm dancing with him, suddenly he says, you remind me of my mother. I said, sorry, what? He said, you remind me of the mothers. It's like you're a mother figure. I was shocked. So I said, okay. And then he said, especially the figure part. I stood there and I can tell you that I felt anger. I felt deeply upset and I was about to cry. And I remember on that day, I was wearing this particularly beautiful black dress for the event. I felt terribly shattered as a 19-year-old. I went to the hostel and I remember sleeping in my shoes in the same dress for the next 3 days. My roommate would bring me food from the mess because I thought my life's over. And that's what heartbreaks feel like. They, they feel like life over. You can't breathe, and that somebody is like stirred all the parts of your brain and just change it according to them. And that's what I wanted to start with, that heartbreaks are not for the faint hearted. And so, but coping 3 days, I was just in my bed, and my roommate would, put a lot of music for me, and I would cry. That I would say, "No one's ever gonna look at me ever. I'm the ugliest person on earth." And I imagined this guy thought I was his mother, and oh man, I went dramatic. Today, I can laugh about it, but I can tell you, it took me a long time to even see somebody from IIT decently because I was like, nope, nope, I don't want them. I don't want to talk to them. So that's my story. I have lots of them, but I that's my tiny little story. Mm.
That reminds me that we tend to keep certain things with us so closely that sometimes certain names and certain institutions, like my friend's ex was an engineer, and she's like, "Yep, आज के बाद तो engineer से मतलब मिलना ही नहीं है, बात भी नहीं करनी है." क्योंकि
Mm.
it's just like such a negative emotion attached to the breakup or the heartbreak that you cannot cope with that idea. You can cope with the experience, but that idea is still in your head. Okay, this
Yeah.
person is related to that sort of experience.
Hmm.
Yeah.
What I find especially fascinating about heartbreaks is that while it's a personal experience, but suddenly in that moment of your heart breaking, it just spreads around to a complete disdain for the world around. Like, you will start hating everything. And you would start hating other people, even enjoying themselves or doing little things. Fortunately, it's temporary, but in that moment, you really need to remind yourself it's temporary, and you don't have the faculties or the sense to remind yourself. So heartbreaks, I think, if human beings have ever been capable of overcoming, it's because of probably friends, or probably good music, or probably something wonderfully interventional at that time. But something has had to happen. Something has to happen in order for you to uh, sort of process it. And I see this in therapy so much. A lot of people going through heartbreak. And I suppose I become that person who helps them see that. And all of you will realize that you will become that person too, you know? But as therapists, we provide that sort of direction.
Agreed. And I think so like the brain part of heartbreak is after we have been threatened by that negative experience, everything just seems like a threat. Any sort of happiness is related to the time where we romanticized every single thing. So now that experience just feels like a threat.
Right. Absolutely.
Any other
Okay.
breakup stories, heartbreak?
Pia, can we hear yours? I
You're on
can't.
mute.
Our founder is on mute.
Yes, I am not on mute anymore. So, this happened when I was in my seventh standard. Okay, this was my first crush, and I really, really liked the guy. And at that point in time, na, movie I think Mast Aftab Sani was introduced into Bollywood, and he looked cute. Okay, for a for a girl in seventh standard in a small town in Jammu, he looked cute. And then in the eighth standard, there was an exact same guy. Okay, his name was Aditya. And I had a major, major crush on this guy. And I would get conscious whenever he would be around, and he would note that, and he would make sure that I was conscious. And I think a couple of months into this crush, so a couple of months into this, I get to know that he's dating a girl, Ragini, and I remember all the names. He's
Wow.
dating a girl, Ragini, in his own class. I was one class junior, who used to make two braids, was shorter than me, fatter than me, no personality, no charisma. I was like the topper of the class. She was not. I had everything going for me. She had nothing. But when I got to know that they both are dating, I was like, what the hell? Like it spoiled relationships for me for some time. It was like, ye kya bakwas hai? So, Sindhu, it is absolutely opposite to what you just shared. But I remember it took me about a year to get over that, यार. कि मतलब इसने मुझे choose नहीं की, despite knowing. Shit.
Do you think people do sinister things when they are heartbroken? Like revengeful things, manipulative things. Do you think people do that?
I think people try everything. I know I would.
And that's the whole like if you take it positively, that's the whole concept of revenge body, right? People hit the
Mm.
gym after their heart is broken, or they will cut their
Why do we
hair.
do that? Why this thing? Why do you have to prove yourself to someone who you already know is not worthy because they're not with you, so they're not worthy. But on the other end, when you are in a very happy relationship, you tend to not take care of yourself, you tend to go golu molu. I mean, look at me. Right? But this is where you would want to live longer, want to have more fun with your partner, want to have, a better, a good life, a healthy life. But then you suddenly don't take care of yourself. Why is that?
I think we know in the event of a breakup, we want to make sense of why were we rejected, and in an attempt to make sense of it rationally, the only thing that pops up for us, we were not good enough. So how do we make ourselves so good that the other person or no one else can reject us? Also, in some sense, it's this whole idea: how could this person leave me? Now I'm going to show them that this is who
What
I
they have
am. Like,
lost.
yeah, what they've lost. And I suppose when you're in stable, happier relationships, you trust yourself more. I'm not, of course, endorsing we let ourselves go, but you trust the relationship, you trust that you're going to be loved despite changes in your body.
Hmm.
I suppose so. But the youngsters are here. I want to understand what's been happening with their love lives and if they've experienced heartbreak.
Heartbreak isn't always associated with relationships, right? Be it crushes, now situationships, and even
Oh, yes.
friendships. I think so. One of my worst heartbreak was from a friendship rather than a relationship.
Yeah, it can happen.
Yeah, because as friends, you just have this sort of trust कि चलो ये एक इंसान है that will understand me, not my family, not some guy or girl who just like is attracted to me, but this person is my family, right?
Hmm.
And when you have those sort of instances, you just feel कि it's more heartbreaking because I don't know. In friendships, you just have more trust and more, it's your safety blanket.
Yes,
Hmm.
yes. And not enough
That's
is
true.
talked about it.
Definitely.
That's true.
Mm. Yeah, I remember a lot of people talking about a long lasting friendship being really powerful, but at the same time, when it breaks, there's no one empathizes, nobody really gets it. There are no songs written about it. So it's quite hard.
Yeah.
Hmm. Nisha?
Um, I don't think I've had like a heartbreak per se when it comes to relationships. It's been more like a one-sided thing if I've had something like that. And so I don't have like memories that I want to unpack also with the person because it was all just in my head. So yeah, it definitely changes you as a person because like you very rightly said that you want to understand the reason why you're rejected, and also during the talking phase you're completely with the person, and after that you don't have a lot of things to do, so you're also trying to navigate and figure out what works for you, what is it that you,
Yeah,
so I think it has a
yeah.
lot to do with that.
I have a question.
Hmm.
You know, while you're in the relationship, compared to while you're in the relationship, when the relationship is over, when you've had a breakup, whether it's your friend, whether it's your um, partner, whether it's even, when you have had a fight or a fall through with family and you're not living with them anymore, anything, loved ones, right? Why is it that they don't take up that much space in your brain and heart when you're with them? But when they're not, you end up
Hmm.
thinking about them endlessly, even if it is negative scenarios. I would probably be, doing something really bad to that person in my thinking, but I end up thinking about them a lot, right? So,
Hmm.
why does that happen?
Hmm.
I think that may have something to do with losing the ability to access the person. Earlier, if, when you're with someone, it's always easier to sort of know what they're up to. You sort of have access to all that information. But the minute you don't, you feel that loss of control. You experience the loss more deeply. It's just that absence really sort of takes over and it becomes overwhelming after a point. And that's my theory.
Correct. Like adding to
It's
what Seher actually mentioned, a lot of times there's this thing that people keep on talking about कि अब जब breakup हो गया तेरे को सब याद आ रहा है, or you want to make things better now and all of that. And that's the time when we actually realize that when these people keep on saying things that you took me for granted the entire relationship, and now that it's over, you want to suddenly make things better or you want to suddenly work on it. So it tends to work on the same principle as Seher was saying, that we feel that we lost the control of making things better, and now the other person even don't want your efforts or doesn't want you to do anything about it. And when it comes to you trying to fix or not trying to fix but just thinking negatively about the person, there is a lot of anger, a lot of emotion that is still inside of you, which is not being processed well enough. So yes, it will take some time of your uh, life and a lot of space in your life in the initial period to get out of it. So
hmm.
like irrespective how much you try.
I
Yeah.
think in a way we are also raised in a way ki, we don't look at relationships as something that you actively work on. You work on your
Mm.
academics, you work on your career, you work on your body. हाँ, सब कुछ है, but relationship is something that you acquire and बस हो गया. Your job is done. And you get
True,
too comfortable with it.
true.
So the good
Yeah.
part
Mm.
comes to you when you actually mess up or there are
Mm,
challenges. That's
mm,
so many people are very bad at relationship conflicts because they don't expect it
Mm.
to happen. Because after acquiring the relationship, everything should be sunshine and rainbows.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, I agree. Like going off what Radhika said, I think every time someone gets into a relationship, they think it's going to be hunky dory, it's going to be smooth sailing. And of course, that honeymoon phase, as they call it, that obviously lasts for a couple of months. But that's not life per se. When things get mundane, when things get monotonous, and you're still willing to stand by that person, I think that's a challenge in itself. And if you can overcome that, then that's a step closer to being solid.
I
Oh,
think a lot of
yes.
people don't talk enough about the mundanity in relationships. Everyone talks
Mm,
about the excitement, या फिर pain, या फिर just the drama, but
yeah.
not the mundanity that happens.
That's true. And
And a
that's what I
lot
think
of
a lot
people
of
break
people
up
like.
because of
Hmm. And I think a lot
sorry.
of people till they don't realize that relationships take active work. It's not just something where you develop feelings for someone and expect it to last. I think it's both parties take active work. It takes active work on both their ends to actually make the relationship work.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and also this factor that a lot of people in relationship tend to build their entire identity around the relationship. So when the
Mm,
relationship is gone, you feel like your identity is gone. You don't know who you are, what you want to do in life. So to also build a new life from the scratch, there's so much void that you have to fill in with building an entire new personality and building a
mm,
life without the
that's a
person.
very good point. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
That's
yeah.
true.
Adding to what just Radhika and Seher said, it's also important to manage our emotions. I think that's a major part of managing the relationship. And sometimes we work on the relationship, but we don't work on ourselves. So that's
Mm,
also something that we.
mm,
Yeah, I feel like
And
this may be an unpopular opinion, but I personally feel like the growth soil after a breakup is so fertile and it doesn't last very long. That's when you're so driven to just focus on yourself and do anything to not think about your ex at the time. And that, like, it's like a make or break thing. If you utilize that time productively, that energy productively, I think could
yeah.
also do wonders. I feel like that's something that's not discussed enough.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
what you're saying is that while a heartbreak could be devastating, it can also be an absolutely perfect time for rebuilding and growth. And you could
Exactly.
easily rewrite the story of your life.
Mm.
so,
Mm,
First, you question
when
everything at that time, right?
uh, you're in that reflective phase, that's true. That's true.
mm,
Yeah. And like you're just so even if not motivated, just desperate to focus on anything but your ex, and the only person other than that should be you, right? So I mean, if it's a
mm.
rebound, then that's another story altogether. But usually, like for people who do focus, like do their own thing after a breakup, I think that does do them some good, some growth, some like
Yeah.
Priya said,
I've
Hmm.
seen
reflection.
phenomenal growth in therapy settings from men and women who have gone through betrayals, devastation, heartbreak. And then they come in and they said, that's it. I am done being miserable. I'm done feeling sorry for myself. I want to change everything. And the sort of trajectory of growth that happens during that time is immense. Immense. And it's also satisfying for the therapist as well as the client to set out a roadmap and say, okay, this is who you are. This is the core of you. We're going to rebuild that. A lot of great stuff can happen. I wish people would actually see therapy as a good space for exploration of self rather than just crisis management. Because if that could happen, we would ensure that there were a lot of people who were rebuilding rather than just languishing in that dark space.
That's true. That's very true.
Hmm. Okay. Talking of heartbreaks, another thing, I was talking about what's the most sinister thing you guys have done post a heartbreak? Who's stalked? Who's created in extra Instagram profiles? Not
I
you,
think that
no?
would be me.
So I've been more of a person who, would just go into a shell and feel like, okay, ye hua, kyun hua. So I would go down that spiral, and then I'd find out the situations and replay things in my head a lot, and then try to make sense of things, you know. It's never about who's right, who's wrong, because uh, in my head, obviously, they are wrong. Right? You start with they are wrong because you are the victim. Something has happened to you. And then as you reflect, you realize that, okay, I could have not done this. I could have stopped that. And yeah, I mean, it's more of and then I go into this self-pity mode, wherein I feel like, when will I learn and what else do I need to do? So yeah, it doesn't really get to that, Sindhu. No?
That's very good because mine turns out to be expensive. That's the only time I want to shop for things, and I want to
Oh my
cut my
God.
hair. I want to find out a new music band I want to do dramatic things or travel. So suddenly, while my heart is empty, the account also gets empty.
Wow.
But
Yeah,
fortunately, that
that's
just
an idea.
happened
I'll
a
try
couple of
this.
times earlier. Sorry,
I'll try this.
it's fun.
Hmm.
Not a stalking wala person after like a heartbreak. Just like Pia said, like I go into self-preservation mode. I delete contacts, pictures, everything same day because I don't want to. Um, the the day of the heartbreak, you can delete all of that because the next few days you will want to check up on them. You will want to call them, and you don't want to do that. The realistic part of you knows, the logical part of you knows. But yeah, the whole
What?
cycle of ki they're
Yeah.
wrong. No, 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 I was also wrong. Oh, we both were just human beings, just not compatible, maybe.
What's a sensible piece of advice would you give to people who are going through a heartbreak? Like, let's each one of us give people with one sensible piece of advice.
Mine is very cliche. I think so, it's very, yeah, it is cliche, but just be patient with yourself. And it's okay to go and rant to your friends and everything, but also sit with it. Don't depend on other people so much that you have to reach out to someone because after heartbreak, you tend to just want support.
Yeah.
Distract yourself as well. Okay, I need to talk to all of my friends till I fall asleep because I'm used to talking to my partner and now they're not there. You just have to
Hmm.
be patient with yourself.
Yeah, that's true. I think mine will also be similar.
That's
Mine's
very
like
sensible.
feel the feels, you know. Don't
Hmm.
I mean that's one thing I learned when I had broken up. Is just feel
Yeah.
the feels and then ultimately it should get easier with time, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, either way, a breakup, it's not really like a winner or a loser situation, both sides. Like, it's a lose lose situation, you know, it's most of the time, most of the time.
Hmm.
But, I think just really feeling it so it doesn't sort of erupt later. It's
Hmm.
very important to just be on your own for a bit and really have to, like, there's no way around it. Like, you can only go through it, you can't
Yeah.
really get around it.
But don't you find this as the most fascinating mammalian behavior that we are capable of intensely feeling the love and intensely feeling the loss? So
Mm-hmm.
there are art is created around it, poetry is created, compelling stories are written about it. It is because it's one of the strongest emotions. Uh, why do we want to rush through it?
Yeah.
Just like you want to sit with love, you want to grow with love. Why can't we also grow with grief and pain and loss and
I think
heartbreak
because
done with that?
Sindhu is ज़्यादा shallow है. I think what the definition of love that we have, perhaps it's not love, perhaps it's just want, it's just another achievement, another thing I want, another person I need. It's not really love because had it been love, it helps you grow. And I can say this from my personal experience that when you're in love, you know, imagine the purest form of love is what I would probably have for my daughter, right? That is the purest. Maybe not even my parents, right? So when she does something wrong, when she shouts at me, or when she'll say something to me which I don't like, or it hurts me, I would be angry, right? I'd be very angry. I'd be hurt. I may cry, but it's okay, right? She's still my daughter. And at the end of the day, I would tell her I did not like it. I felt hurt. And she'd see me crying, she'd come to me or whatever. That's the purest form of love that you understand that things are not going to be rosy, but the person is important. I don't think we give that same um, uh, benefit or lavish to our partners. We don't. And if we look at it from the perspective of loving them, so then do we really love them?
Most of us, we really confuse between love and attachment. Most people are just used to
Could be
people.
habit, could be attachment, could be liking, could be dependence, could be anything, but is it love?
Because in society, if you say everyone wants to achieve a type of relationship, they have it. Why don't we have it? So it's
Hmm.
a competition, and in love, there's no competition. There's no ideal type of love or relationship, right? Again,
Yeah.
relationship and love are very different things.
And the idea is so messed up because I remember when I had to get married, um, the one of the seniors, elders asked me to make a list of things that I want in the other person. And but first they asked me, what do you want in the other person? I was like, I don't know. So they said, why don't you don't have any idea of, who you want to marry? I said, no, I don't want to marry. I don't see this happening. And then they told me, how about you make a list of what you want in a person, help you select the right person. So, and okay, I mean, बड़ों ने बोला तो आप करोगे, right? I sat down to make a list. Trust me, I could not go beyond 2, 3 points. I do not understand. Like, why am I making this list? And then, what am I going to do? I'm going to see the guy, ask him questions and checkpoint whatever the list is. What is the purpose? Yeah, and I'm not for or against anything like the type of relationships we are in right now or we used to be, but you got something. You understood that person, right? You got a person, you understood that person, you saw, unless the person was really evil, every person would have some flaws, right? There would be some good things, some bad things. Nobody is perfect. It's just that, is there bad something that you can live with or not? Is the good side enough heavier to maybe make do with the bad side, right? This was the understanding I believe that the old relationships had, and they grew together. They would fight, and nobody would say कि पहले अब हम divorce ज़्यादा हो गया या जो भी हो गया, but early on there would be fights. Women or men would not be happy. Men would go out, women would cringe all the time, crib and lash out, and everything happened then also. Some of them stayed in the relationship for the sake of staying in the relationship, but some of them actually grew because I don't think 1 year, 2 year, 5 years are enough. Sometimes it may take years to understand. Sometimes it may take years to just get to a point wherein you feel, yes, this is it, right? My brother, he was in live-in relationship for 10 years before he married that girl, right? And she is amazing. But it still took 10 years. And I think it was okay. So yeah, I
And
mean,
there's this one thing that we take for granted and we don't realize and understand is that growths. Like whenever we talk about growing as an individual, we talk about an isolated experience. But when we don't understand that sometimes growing together while being in a relationship is a thing. You might not be as mature as you were when you were dating each other at 21, but by the time you reach 26, so many perspectives, so many things changes. You might not be ready to probably, let's say, have kids because at 21 it didn't make sense, but at 26 you get that understanding. So this is one very major thing that we don't talk about. Like all of us, like particularly our generation, if I can say, we are so fixed on this idea of finding the perfect partner, and we don't realize that that perfect partner is not going to
Does not
just
exist. It
miraculously
does not exist.
This
yeah.
is such a
Perfect
good
partner does
point
not
to bring
exist.
about, Mehak, because a part of growing is also understanding that our goalposts are changing as we are aging. There are different versions of us that's evolving. So the
Right.
person who committed to a certain thing, that person is also evolving and changing, right? So for me, the biggest indicator of a good or a healthy relationship is when I like the version of who I am when I'm with the person or in the relationship, which means a lot of work has to come from me. I have
Yeah.
to like that version of me. And the other person just supports and witnesses my growth. I can't make my husband grow, but I can be the loudest cheerleader for him. Right. So simple things like that really are bigger. And I think the idea of, I have a problem with the idea of success and failure associated with marriage and relationships. Like the moment we remove that, I think human beings are capable of bringing very raw, vulnerable selves to the table. But there is already so much of pressure to make something successful. Or if something doesn't work, oh, your relationship failed. What, these are harsh binary words. And that's where most relationships are right now not growing because they're
Hmm.
running under pressure. Okay. Is that what we have time for today?
Yes, actually. And it
Definitely.
went a little bit longer, but yes. Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody. I think I should be participating more in these conversations. They're nice. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, we'll look out for the people you mentioned, Pia.
Oh my God. All
Okay.
right. Thank
Bye.
you. Thank
Sindhu,
you so
Sindhu, you
much.
do have a stalking streak.
Me? Sindhu?
Sindhu, because she wants to go out and research about it.
Mm.
I should now. I should now. Bye
Well,
now.
ladies, take care. Thank you so much.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
Bye.